Hey there! In this video, I'll share with you an effective method for naming covalent compounds. I'm Orlando Broomfield from Chemistry Core. Let's practice naming covalent compounds in chemistry together. Covalent brings to mind non-metals, the elements on the right-hand side of the periodic table. That is because covalent compounds are formed when non-metals are chemically combined. On the other hand, ionic compounds are formed when metals chemically combine with non-metals. Remember, when naming ionic compounds, we start with the name of the cation, which is the positively charged ion in the compound, followed by the negatively charged ion, the anion. And we do not need to specify the amount of each ion in the ionic compound when naming the compound. Our approach to naming covalent compounds is slightly different, and we will focus on simple molecular substances, that is, simple covalent compounds. We start with covalent compounds or molecules made when atoms of the same element combine. For example, oxygen. So if we have a compound O2, this molecule will simply have the name of the element, which is oxygen. The same thing goes for the molecule formed when two atoms of chlorine combine. The name of the molecule is chlorine. Now let's look at an example when the atoms combined are from different elements and there's only one of those atoms in the molecule. For example, that compound formed when carbon combines with oxygen, and there's only one atom of carbon and one of oxygen. To start off, we write the name of the first atom in the molecule, which is carbon. We also write the name of the second element in the molecule, but this time we change the suffix to IDE. So that will be oxide. We need to specify the amount of each atom of each element in the molecule. So we have one carbon and one oxygen. We do not write the amount of the first atom in the molecule if that amount is 1. However, we do need to specify the amount of the second atom in the molecule. Therefore, we refer to prefixes. So the prefix for 1 is MONO, mono. It ends in a vowel, and the element begins with a vowel. In this case, we drop the vowel from the prefix, the vowel at the end of the prefix, and we write carbon monoxide. Rather than carbon monoxide, we have carbon monoxide. This is the name of the compound formed. Similarly, if we had hydrogen and chlorine combining, we will meet our first exception to the rules for naming covalent compounds, and that is when hydrogen is involved as the first element and the second element is from the halogens, the group 7 elements. We do not specify the amount of each of these atoms in the compound. We simply write the name as hydrogen chloride. Now let's look at an example when there are two atoms of the second element in the molecule. For example, again, carbon and oxygen, but this time two oxygen atoms in the molecule. We write the name of the first atom, which is carbon, and we write the name of the second element, but this time with the suffix IDE, so oxide. We look at the amount of oxygen atoms in the molecule, that's 2, and the prefix there is di. So the name of this molecule is carbon dioxide. And now for an example when there are 3 of the second atom in the compound. For example, that between sulfur and oxygen. So we write the name of the first element as is, and the second element we have the suffix IDE. The prefix for 3 is tri. So the name of the compound is sulfur trioxide. When there are 4 atoms of the second element, so this molecule has carbon and chlorine, this time 4 of the chlorine atoms in the molecule, the name starts with the name of the first atom, which is carbon, followed by the name of the second element with the suffix IDE, the prefix for 4 is tetra, and so the name of the molecule is carbon tetrachloride. And finally, let's look at an example when there are more than one of the first atom in the molecule. N2O5. The name of this molecule is, again, we start by writing the name of the first element, so that's nitrogen. The name of the second element comes with the suffix IDE, so that's oxide. There are 5 oxygen atoms in the molecule, and the prefix is penta. We will have to drop the last vowel since the name of the atom begins with a vowel. So that's pentoxide. And we now need to specify that there are more than one of the nitrogen atoms in the molecule, and that's di since we have 2. So the name of the molecule is dinitrogen pentoxide. And one final caution: when naming the molecule H2O, rather than saying dihydrogen oxide, simply say water. Thank you for watching another video on solving problems in chemistry with Chemistry Core. If you were tuned in, you are now able to identify simple covalent molecular compounds and use prefixes to correctly signify the amount of each atom of each element in a molecule. Good luck on your exams, and I'll see you next time.